Worthy by design. Hello there. It is such a delight that you joined us on today's edition of Worthy by Design, brought to you by Advance Cable Network Nigeria, ACNN TV. On this show, we focus on the journey from girlhood to womanhood and everything in between. I'm Ibera Chims. Welcome. Queen Esther in the Bible took a step that has left many in awe as to the kind of woman she really was. And she sealed it with, "If I perish, I perish." What a woman. It therefore begs the question, are you the kind of woman who would go all out in order to fulfill your purpose? Or would you rather let your comfort zone limit you? Our conversation today is on Go the Esther Mile. Esther Mile, yes, you heard me. I hope it spurs you to arise and do more than is required. To share this space with me is the beautiful Nanu Uhebu.
Hello.
She's a pastor, women's advocate, and businesswoman. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Right. So, let's go into this conversation of Esther Mile. How do we unpack this?
Going the Esther Mile, I think it's very, very interesting. I think going the Esther Mile is for women. It's about doing the extra, doing more than most people are willing to, doing what is difficult. You know, if you read about Esther, Esther is a woman, first of all, who really, really inspires me. I don't know how many times I've read the book of Esther, like it's just 10 chapters over and over again. You know, she really, really is an inspiration to any woman who wants to achieve anything. You know, so for me, you know, Esther she went the extra mile. She didn't do just what was necessary. She did more than what was necessary. She used everything at her disposal. She used supernatural, she used the spiritual, and even the natural. She didn't just go, "Oh, I'm fasting and praying," you know, and then I just appear anyhow.
She used the
fasted,
woman power.
She prayed. She was beautiful. You know, she got to a point where she knew my beauty alone is not going to be enough. You know, that situation that, you know, the book of Esther is about, the children of Israel about to be, you know, killed. And, you know, she knew that just my beauty alone, she knew she had favor with the king, but she knew she needed something extra. And just like you said, she came to the point where she decided, if I perish, I perish. You know, so she prayed, she fasted, and when she came before the king, she adorned herself beautifully. I mean, she was all the gold and all the, you know, and she was smelling nice, and she came before the king, you know, so she used everything at her disposal. And that is what going the Esther Mile is about. It's about dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's, making sure you have it in the spiritual, you're on point. In the natural, you're on point. You know, so that's what I think going the Esther Mile is about.
Okay, so doing the extra. So you must balance the spiritual and the physical. You shouldn't just be a tongue-speaking woman and scruffy, smelly.
Exactly.
Get it all up.
I'm spiritual, I'm fasting, you know. She came out of a 3-day fast. She could have just come. You know how people behave sometimes when they are fasting. I'm fasting, so you just appear anyhow. The spiritual, the favor of God is going to cover me. You know, it doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. You know, so spiritual, natural, perfect balance.
Spiritual, natural, perfect balance. Now, the question would be, why should every woman strive to go the extra mile?
Well, you know, the world we're in, women are judged more harshly than men. Many times for a woman to achieve the same, you know, you have a colleague that is male, to attain the same level as him, you have to do extra. Unfortunately or fortunately, because I mean, it makes us women strive to be better, to achieve the same level, to even get promoted like your colleague in the office that is male. You know what, the standards for women are higher. So if a woman is mediocre, If a woman just leaves herself, leaves it to chance, you will not achieve much. You know, whatever sphere
You
of
find
society you
yourself.
find yourself, you're in politics. Politics is even
Even
another
worse.
story.
It's more difficult.
You're in career, you're trying to achieve something. If you don't do the extra, you will not achieve much. You will not achieve much. So, you know, as women, there's really no option. If you want to achieve, you want to get to some heights
You
in your
must have the
career, in your
extra.
ministry, in your business, wherever, you must do the extra. That's the world we find ourselves in. Even girls are judged more than their, you know, children are playing. Something goes wrong, the girl gets beaten.
But
The
why is
boy
it so?
goes scot-free.
You know, I'm wondering, why is it that, you know, women are judged more harshly? Why?
You know, this thing is just, it's not from, it starts from nurture. The
Okay.
information people have. Girls are socialized differently. Parents are leaving the house, they give instructions to the girl on what to do. They hold her responsible, even when she has an elder brother. So the boys are allowed to play and generally be men. You know, like you're a girl, you're supposed to know better. Why should I know better? This is my elder brother.
Okay,
know,
so
women-
that trickles to every other
Yes.
aspect of
Yes.
life.
Yes, people expect, they hold women to higher standards. Even in morality, women are held, a woman does something, a man does it. It's women, why should a woman? Why should a woman? You know? So that's the world we find. We're doing a lot of things to change the narrative, but as it is now, that is the world that we live in.
So we must use that
any
to our
woman-
advantage.
We can't use it to our advantage. We're making the best of a situation that is not very, very palatable. So, you know, we make the best of it. And in my opinion, I'm not complaining.
Right.
I'm not complaining, you know. I mean, women have come a long way. There was a time where women were not allowed to study some courses in the
True.
university, and I'm born in this time. I'm not complaining. I'll use what I have to my advantage.
Because you
Women
find out
have-
we actually stand out.
yes, when women rise, it's beautiful to see. Because we're not even a lot. We need more women to rise to the top because we're not a lot. So any woman that comes out and is doing things, she shines, she stands out.
Because she's always doing the extra.
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So now somebody will be wondering, right? How can I harness my seemingly ordinary abilities to give me that extraordinary impact? Right?
Okay, I'll say two things,
Okay.
and these are things that I mean have worked for me in my life, in the things I've been able to achieve. The first one is grace, the God factor. You know, I tell women that I'm mentoring, I have some women I mentor in career. No matter what you think you are or what you think you have been able to achieve, don't forget this part, the God part, the grace factor, because that's the extra to the ordinary. When you add that, people don't see you coming. You know how women can be unassuming. You saw how Esther handled Haman in the Bible. He didn't even know she was an enemy. He didn't know. He was feeling like the chosen one. The king has told Esther invited only me and the king to come for dinner. Like the king, I'm now after the king is me. You know, I'm the chosen one. I'm the favorite. He didn't even know this woman was plotting for him. You know, she applied a lot of wisdom, and this was God-given wisdom. She didn't just go to the king and make her request immediately. See the steps that she applied, the things that she did. Those were the things that made the miracle so profound. So the God factor, that's the first thing.
That's the first.
Now, the fact that we're trying to get the grace of God or the hand of God upon our lives does not also mean we should neglect the
Yes, I wanted to ask
skilling
that.
up. No.
When you started from grace.
Women, we must skill up all the relevant, most current skills in any sector you find yourself. Women are smart. There's nothing you want to study you can't study. Our brains are not inferior to men's. There's no course of study you cannot embark on and come out in flying colors. So yes, there's a grace factor, but you must have all the skills when they come. You know, when you're prepared and an opportunity comes, and you even have the hand of God, they can scheme all they want. They can, people have something in their heads that tell them a woman shouldn't have this position. There's some managerial positions in some offices. They're like, why should a woman be here?
True.
But when you come and you have every skill, even more than your male counterparts, for example, and you now have the grace of God,
They can't overlook you.
but if you're doing only prayer, God, the hand of, and you don't have
Favor.
the skills,
So,
you can't.
with the grace of God, add every necessary skill.
That's what makes you extraordinary. And people look at you, they're like, oh, her work, perfect, excellent. The work she does here, we can't do without her. everything she does it excellently. We have no complaints. Yeah, there's no option, you know.
Excellence in every wise.
Exactly.
Now, are there fears associated with going the extra mile?
Yeah, I believe they are, because women have a lot of innate fears. We have, and this is, I don't blame women for having those fears, because many of us grew up, like for example, I grew up, my parents didn't have any boy, and as a child, I remember so many people asking me, "You don't have a brother?" Hey, yeah.
Okay.
And then I was still very young. I didn't understand it at the time, but it made me feel inadequate, like not enough. They say, "How your father?" I say, "No, what are you people going to do? What are we going to do? Like we're in trouble. There's no male child, So those things leave. This is just an example of what it did to me. I had this feeling of inadequacy, and I grew up with it. And it affected me, and it made me always undermine myself. I want to go for something. People less qualified, you see them. And it's not just me. A lot of women, before they apply for jobs, they'll make sure they have every single skill required. But you see a guy, he just applies. Let me just take the chance, and they get it. So women, these fears are not. It's inbuilt from childhood. The things that happened, when we're children, we have those fears, feelings of inadequacy, feelings of I'm not enough. I can't do this. And all that. So it
that limits
us
your
from,
ability
exactly,
to go the
yes,
extra
prevents
mile.
us from striving to do things. Let me not even try. When I was in the university, I found out
Okay,
that.
let me just hold you
Okay,
up there.
please.
We'll come. Just hold that thought.
Yeah.
We'll go on a very short break. When we return, you pick it up right from where you
Sure.
dropped it. Right. Now, imagine a world where women are not judged by their gender or marital status, but by the value they bring to their communities, workplaces, schools, or even homes. Today, we celebrate some women who have conquered their world and are living their dreams. Their achievements are worth celebrating all year round. You know why? Many more are on their trail. And today, we can break the barriers because we are worthy by design. Worthy by design.
My name is Mayenu Jong, CEO of Ferryman Ferry Express Courier Company, operating in Nigeria. I am passionate about influencing the world, doing the impossible, and venturing into where people are afraid to. With determination, however, I have been able to overcome the setbacks, which were like oppositions from both genders, and at times proposals that have not been allowed to thrive. Today, I can boldly say that through determination and doggedness, that I came out at a time as the only successful candidate for a promotion interview that was organized for directors. And beyond that, as I stepped out of civil service, I ventured into a stormy area where people are afraid to get into the courier service. And I want to say, if I can break the barriers, you can do also.
Good day. My name is Dr. Promise Ifonde. I'm the Medical Director of Luzon Vision Services Limited. I'm an optometrist by profession, means I'm an eye doctor. My passion has always been to help people, make people be at ease, help any little way that I can. And I found out that checking people's eyes, giving them the joy of sight, it's also helping them in a way, and that brings me joy every time my patients tell me they're seeing well, or when I see the smile on their faces when they use their glasses. Well, some setback I would say is opening a clinic is not something that is easy. The capital is so high, and then it's a male dominated profession, and I had to break through that bias and open my clinic, struggled and make sure it grew to where it is now. Oh, so presently we have two branches, and we're hoping to expand in the future, at least to reach out to more people. And then, majorly, our future plan is to open an NGO that caters for children and their sight, and ensuring that no child becomes blind. That's what we're working for. So if I can break the bias and live my dreams, you too can. Thank you.
Worthy by design. Welcome back. We have been speaking with the delectable Nanu Uhebu on Go the Esther Mile. If you missed any part of that conversation, please make sure you listen to it. Now let's go back to the conversation we're having.
Okay.
Let's pick it up from there.
Yeah, I was saying that when I was in the university, I found out that there were some positions like in the, what do they call it, students' union,
Okay.
that weren't open to women. Like, you couldn't get a president ticket. The vice president ticket was for women, but the president was, you couldn't just go there. I was just trying to buttress the point I was talking about earlier, that there are certain things that women are made to feel like you can't even go there, you can't achieve this, and that's part of what creates those feelings of inadequacy in women. When you feel like there's some things that are just off limits,
so you don't bother trying.
Yes, stay here, just stay here. This is what is available for you. You're going to be a wife, you're going to be a mother, and these are beautiful things. It's wonderful to be a wife. It's part of our God-given purpose. Be a good mother, raise your children well, but we can have it all.
Sure.
You can also be a woman of God. You can also have a husband, raise beautiful children, and still have a thriving career and business. That's just what I was trying to say. Yeah.
So, somebody will now be wondering, how can I deal with those fears? I have had them all my life. I have tried, but they are still here.
Okay. What worked for me, I'm a Christian, so what worked for me was discovering the way God sees me, discovering who I am in Him by spending time with God in the Word and in fellowship. I began to see myself the way He sees me, and it began to build my self-confidence. And all those fears, the more I spent time with Him, the more those fears disappeared. The more I was willing to go for things, the more confident I became, the bolder I became. Like, I used to be very, very timid, very, very like...
You don't look it.
Sometimes God has helped me, At the beginning, it was not so. I constantly felt judged. I constantly felt like I didn't have anything to offer. But coming to the Lord and Him fixing me, like building me on the inside, that is what did it for me. That's what did it for me. I know there are a lot of self-help things, books that you can read that will help you. They're actually things to do. Those self-help books, they have practical things to do. Speak to yourself. Well, those things are in the Bible.
So if you get to the Bible,
you will find what
you pick it up.
need.
That takes me back to Esther's story, right? Esther became a queen, and it looked like, okay, I have gotten it all.
Yeah.
I didn't need to look for it. It's not me. I'm not the one for this thing. I beg. You two should go and look for somebody else who will deliver you people. Until she heard that word from her uncle. What if it was for a time like this
As you came here.
that you became a queen?
Yeah.
That means you would have missed your purpose.
Yeah.
So if we refuse to take those extras, if we refuse to face those fears, we may be missing our purpose in life.
Exactly.
Because probably, in fact, most likely, your purpose is tied to those fears you're refusing to conquer.
Exactly.
And like he said, the only way to conquer those fears is to go back to God, who would show you who you are. Amazing, amazing. Now, let us move past our fears. Supposing I have been able to kill those fears, and I am wondering, are there personal legacies I need to fight to keep by smashing those fears?
If you haven't been able to deal with those fears, you can't leave a legacy. You can't. Take Queen Esther, for example. Do you know she was a queen? Fine. She was in the king's palace. You know, she had her queenly activities and duties. But if she didn't take on that assignment, I won't be talking about her today.
True.
And you know that after that whole thing happened, you know, this was a time when you could be married to the king and he won't even ask for you for 1 year. These people had concubines.
True.
You won't
Enough.
you have to wait to be summoned. But did you notice that after that, the king was like, anything he wants to say, she was now signing official decrees with the kings. You say, what do you want to be done? Okay, him and they just finished hanging his 10 sons in the gallows. What do we do next? She say, let this be done. She became more relevant because she faced her fears and did what seemed impossible. This woman would have died if the king didn't hold out the scepter. She risks her life. She did it and she gained more. She left a legacy. From generations to generations, everybody talks about her.
And we're still talking about her. Our children will talk about her.
If you don't face your fears, there's nothing you're passing down to anyone. Every woman must make that journey. We must face, and it comes in different levels at different times of our lives. When you lose that battle, sometimes, you know, God is merciful. We get opportunity after opportunity, but you don't know the opportunity that was the one. You needed to not miss this opportunity, you know. So I'll say, for us to leave a legacy, we must embrace and face those fears, or else we'll live and die without, you know, leaving much impact in the world.
God will help us to be women of impact. Very important. Now, this month is International Women's Month. By the way, happy International Women's Day to all the beautiful women out there. Now, let's talk a bit about our ladies, okay? What advice will you give to a lady on her extra mile journey? Or for somebody who had maybe taken the back seats, like, this one is not for me. What advice would you have for them?
Okay, the first thing I'll say is find your purpose. And when you have a purpose, you have a word from God, you have had an encounter with Him, even when things become difficult, that keeps you. The fact that you know exactly, you know, you're not just following the crowd, you're not groping in the dark. Is this one we're doing? When you find your purpose, it keeps you in check. You know, so like you said, some women have taken the backseat. You know, women have a lot of frustrations. You try. You say, it's like, this thing, be like, say, this thing, no, they work. Make I just relax. Let me face, you know, we now decide to manage the mediocre, manage what is available.
At all.
Exactly. You know, so what I'll say is don't give in. I don't want to sound like a motivational speaker. I'm not a motivational speaker, you know.
But this is our reality.
Actually, those things are true. If you keep trying something and you keep trying,
you get a breakthrough.
You will get a breakthrough. If you immediately give up, it's over. But as long as you keep trying, chances are you will break through. You know, so that's what I would say. If you find your purpose, and that's what works for me. I've seen the end. So this process, no matter the difficulties that come, I've seen the end. I've seen where I'm going. That's what keeps me going. The fact that I've seen exactly where I'm going. I know that God is on my side. So these challenges, I have confidence that I will surmount them. And I'll get to where I'm going. So that's what I'll say to all the beautiful ladies out there. This is our month where we're celebrating our wins. You know, and don't feel like the things you've done are meaningless. Women have that. What have I even done? You might think you've not made any impact, but you just may have made some impact.
So
maybe it's not big,
but
it's something. So celebrate the little wins and keep pushing. You know, that's the advice I'll give to you. Find your purpose. Keep your eyes on the mark. Keep pushing.
Find your purpose, keep your eyes on the mark, and keep pushing. Let me end with this thought-provoking quote from Kristen Brown. Do the kind of job that, if at the end of the day, your employer had to pay you what you were worth, they couldn't afford to keep you, rather than for you to owe them. Do join us again next week, same time, same station, for another thought-provoking edition of the show. A big thank you to our beautiful Nanu Uhegu. Yes. So tell every woman you see that she is worthy by design. I'm Ibera Chims. Bye now.